The latest report into the veteran's suicide has been released and it makes for some tough reading. It shows there is significantly increased risk upon discharge, especially for women whose service was cut short.
They are at the tip of the spear, those we train to be fearless in the face of our foes. But the fourth annual report into veteran suicide shows on the surface the rate is rising.
In too many instances, the reality of their serving experience is exposure to trauma upon trauma.
For the first time, the report by the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare includes those who served as far back as 1985. The data now correctly calculating those who took their own lives between 2001 and 2019.
This report gives our community a much better reflection of what the numbers should be.
Officially,
the number of veterans we have lost since 2001 who served from 1985 onwards is 1,273. That is far too many of our loved Australians.
An examination of suicides shows when it comes to men who served, almost 30 took their lives for every 100,000 people. For women who served, that rate is 15, half that of men, but still far higher than normal. In fact, the data shows the shorter the service, the higher the risk. If you compare suicide rates to the general population, the rate of death is 24% higher for men who've been discharged and 102% higher, or twice as high, for women who've served and left.
The significantly increased risk is upon discharge. The risks in particular are for our female veterans. And with respect to our male veterans, if they are young, under 30 years old, have had 5 years or less of service and are discharged on medical grounds.
The rate of suicide for women who've served is highest amongst those under the age of 30. And at 20 women per 100,000 people, it's more than 3 times the general population. For men, the greatest danger is for those aged 30 to 38, with a suicide rate of 38 per 100,000, which is also higher than the general population.
This identity within the Defence Force, be that Army, Air Force or Navy, has been that one true identity they've caught themselves onto and they've idolised themselves being. And when that's removed, they go through what's called moral injury or moral trauma. And this is the real trauma. This is the real post-traumatic stress that so many of these people are experiencing.
While public awareness is rising, experts say
the overall rates of suicide, the comparisons with the Australian population and patterns within subgroups have not changed.
They might not have changed, but the expectation is they will spike. That's because this report doesn't include those who took their lives over the past 2 years, as the Defence Force faced an inquiry, now a Royal Commission, and also the fall of Kabul, all factors which have affected morale.
Unfortunately, we know that there's been at least over 100 veteran suicides just in 2020 alone.
While work is being done to identify and assist our bravest, those whose wounds we can't see are being reminded courage comes in many forms and can often start with a phone call or a simple chat with a mate. Jonathan Lee, Sky News, Canberra.
And support is available for veterans and their families. You can call Open Arms on 1800 011 046, the Defence Family Helpline 1800 624 608, or you can reach out to LifeLine on 13 11 14.